Hello, this video will cover the main engine class. So my main engine class is the Hummingbird engine. This inherits from engine and is a singleton. The game singleton basically creates its instance if it does not exist, and if it does, it just returns the current instance as a singleton will do. The very first phase is the initialization phase of the engine. This will be for one-time user input, that being the settings as defining the name of the window, the size, and the clear color. The very next thing that will occur is the content will be loaded. Before the user's content is loaded, all the default Azul content is loaded. So things like the pre-made shapes, some default shaders and textures, and everything else will be loaded first. Anything else will be provided by the user in the user resources.cpp. I will go into that later. After that, the main loop revolves around update and draw. Both of these call towards the scene manager, which in turns the scene manager calls its update manager and its draw manager respectively. After the main game loop ceases to exist, the content will be unloaded and the game will begin its process for termination. This is a call for the user to provide their resources, and another call for the user to provide their settings, which again are these two files that I have allowed for the user to look at and make it simpler for them to make changes. Going into the public things, the very first public thing is to create a game, and what it will do is it will call run. Also, public accessors are to get the width of the window screen, to get the height of the window screen, to get the system time, and to set the clear color depending on if they put 4 floats for RGBA, or they are able to pass in a vect of color, and that goes into the color.cpp, which I will show off later. Going into the CPP, once again, we show that the initialize is mainly the user loading in their settings. The load content will load the defaults of all of the managers, followed by the user loading in their settings. The update will cover whether or not the God cam has been activated. This is a little bit of a hack. I did leave the camera manager as a singleton mainly because I plan on doing two things with the camera, with the God camera, and that is hacking it into the pause and start. When the game is paused, the camera should be able to move, and I have an idea on how to implement that, but it might require the camera manager to stay a singleton for the time being. I'm still working on that process, and I may get back to you later on that. This call right here is basically for debugging. So right here at the very top, you can see that the Hummingbird engine will display the current time, the current frame time, and the average frames per second. That call right here just puts that onto the top of the screen for debugging purposes and will be removed again for the full ship release of a game. The scene manager during the update call will call its respectable update manager and all the other things that are within the update of a scene, so all the collidables, the inputables, and everything else. Draw will cover mainly just rendering to the screen. When the game starts going in for cleanup, the scene managers end and unload all their models. And at the very end, when the game gets deleted, we make sure that the instance pointer is deleted and that we null that out. That should cover everything for the game.cpp, so for the game class. Once again, this is a file I provided to make it easier for the user to load their own textures, shaders, colors, images, and to load their first start scene. And the setting, once again, is for the user to, for the very first time, to define their window name, their their height and width of their game, and their colors. That should cover everything. Thank you.